Hi there, welcome back to another chatty video.
Today we're going to be discussing DVC. We get asked about this video quite a bit, don't we?
Yeah, definitely. And before we start as well, if this is the first time watching us, welcome to our channel. Please subscribe if you don't already. I'm Ade and you're Lisa. DVC.
So we thought we would kind of just briefly discuss what it is and how it works and why we chose it and how it works for us best. Really.
Yeah, and we've made absolutely no notes for this, have we? So this is completely one of our chatty videos, our kind of one of our live, not live. So
it's just more of a chat with friends type video.
Yeah, exactly. So who knows what kind of way it will go. Hopefully we'll stay on the subject, won't we? But you never know. Where do we start with this?
Okay, so DVC, I'll let you explain because you understand it better than I do.
Well, you understand it as well. How do we summarise it? I know
Disney Vacation Club, first of all, that's what it stands for.
Yeah, and basically there is a description on the website, but I think to sum it up, it's the ability you buy in and you buy points, and you basically get those points to use every year. You can buy however many points you wish. There is a price per point that you pay.
There is a minimum though, isn't
there? There is a minimum. When we started, it was 75 points per year you had to have. That's now gone up, I believe, to is it 150 now? I've got it could have changed again, but I believe it's 150 points minimum that you have to buy. Nothing stopping you buying more. But of course, apart from obviously cost, but the idea is you then get a certain number of points and you can basically use those each year. So instead of paying cash, you obviously use those points to stay in a room, and obviously it depends on what resort you stay at as to how many points a room is, and trying to think the best way to describe this.
I was going to say, let's talk about the points in a moment. Just to recap, so it is a one set payment when you join, so you become members.
Yes.
So it's like belonging to a club, Disney Vacation Club. And so say you choose to buy 150 points then.
Yep.
You don't have to purchase them each year. Once you've paid for them, that's it. That's what you've got set. Obviously, some people do increase them, don't they? And you can also sell them if you decide after a certain time, you're not using it anymore, say your kids grow up or you're just not into Disney anymore, you can sell them. So it's not like you have to stay forever. Now, we're talking from buying direct from Disney, aren't we?
Yeah, this is purely from our experience that we've actually obviously done ourselves. You can also do something called resale.
It's like buying second-hand points, isn't it?
Yeah, it kind of is. It's a bit like buying a second-hand car. It's obviously you've gone out and you've gone to look, and it's obviously not brand new. You buy those points.
Somebody's already bought them and they want to sell them. That's when they become resale. Now,
one main thing here is that all brand new DVC through Disney, the contracts are all 50 years. So one big difference with the resale is because they've already been started, those contracts, I guess in the same way as buying a second-hand car, they're not new. So it could be if they're 5 years old, you then only have 45 years on that particular contract, or less, depending on which resort it's at and how old that contract is. I mean, some of them, the first DVC resort, which was Old Key West, was in, what year was it?
It's 80...
I can't remember now.
Or was it 90-something?
90-something. So say it was 1990 and now it's 2023. That's already 33 years gone. So if someone bought straight away, they would now only have, if my maths is right, is that 17 years left on that contract.
That's why the resale is cheaper though.
Yes. Yeah.
The other thing is as well, the difference between resale and buying direct from Disney, you don't get all the perks. You get a lot more perks, don't you, from buying direct?
Yes, yeah. I mean, for example, we whilst annual passes weren't available for new customers, we still had ours, so we were able to renew them. And essentially, we got them the same price as what Florida residents do. So obviously, they're considerably cheaper than the annual price. I'm getting my words muddled up. Sorry.
It works out a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
So when we bought originally our annual passes, they were $699 each. If we were to buy them as a normal UK resident, they would have been £1,300.
Yeah, but that's because from the UK, you can only now buy one particular type of pass, and that happens to be the most expensive.
But to be honest, we don't have water parks, and we have blackout dates. But the only blackout dates are Christmas, and is it New Year and Thanksgiving? I think
There's a few, but it's not really ones that affect us.
There's only a few days, and we wouldn't be going at those times anyway.
But that's just going into the parks. You could still stay there.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's not a blackout dates of staying there, so we could still go. Just means we can't go in those particular days.
And we're not really into water parks. If we wanted to add water parks on, we could do. It works out about $100 each, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So you can see. I mean, that's a big price difference for us.
Yeah. So it seems like we don't really try not to jump around too much and sort of overload with information, but basically, so far, two fundamental differences, obviously resale and buying direct. So this video, we are purely talking about when you buy direct. So if there are questions about resale, please ask them, but this video purely is about buying direct from Disney.
Like we said, it's like our experience.
And also, interestingly enough as well, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe now that Disney also do sell resale, whereas when we bought, they never did.
I also just want to say that when we bought into DVC, I know we've told our DVC story before, not on this channel, but on my own vlogging channel. We hadn't actually done any research. We didn't know anything about DVC. I'd seen a couple of videos, but I didn't understand. We hadn't even heard of resale. So it wasn't like, I know some people take years
to look into this.
Research. We were literally on holiday. We'd had a previous stay in 2017. Our first proper Disney stay at the beach club. We loved it. Came back the year after. We were staying off-site at the Grove. As lovely as it was a brand new resort. We missed the buzz of being on site. And we were at Animal Kingdom.
There was a chance in case it was raining. We were looking somewhere to enjoy our Starbucks.
Yeah, we just popped into Creature Comforts.
And was basically getting shelter literally by the DVC stand on a wall just past Creature Comforts, and
it was meant to be.
And Kennedy there was the DVC salesperson. I forgot what they call them now. They're called not sales, but anyway.
I don't know.
And we weren't even talking
cast
about
members, DVC cast members.
Yeah, we just started chatting, and it was nothing about DVC. And I think you actually asked the question because
he was entertaining our teenagers, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was brilliant. Yeah, and. It was you that actually asked questions, didn't you?
Yeah.
You were just more intrigued, and from that point, the penny kind of dropped as to.
He just made it make sense.
Yeah, and I think we've watched vlogs before, and we kind of thought you got to pay in every single year.
Yeah.
It's going to be so expensive, and how can this work, and how can that work? And I
just thought you had to be like super rich. It costs so much money.
And yes, it is.
But there's affordable ways of doing it.
There's affordable ways of doing it. It is an investment as well, we believe. And one great thing as well with this is that in life at the moment, as we all know, prices aren't going down, are they? Prices are going up. Each and every year, prices increase. I'm sure you're the same as us. When you go on holiday, those holidays end up costing more. For one reason or other, flights, hotels, car hire, generally is getting more expensive. The one great thing with the DVC is because you are buying points, those point values will remain the same. So there are different times of the year that it's more expensive.
Which is like anything, peak and off-peak seasons.
So we're not going to go into details of that. We're going to keep it simple. But for example, if you were to stay in a studio at, let's say...
Boardwalk.
Boardwalk.
Boardwalk's one of the cheaper ones.
Let's say that would be, I'm not saying it is, but say it's 10 points a night.
Which sometimes it is in like September, the cheapest time to stay.
Yeah, for a certain time of year, it could be that time. So come next year, that will still be 10 points. That will still be 10 points the year after. I'm generalising here, because it can get quite complex in regard to the different times of year and things like that. It's easy to work out, but don't want to give too much kind of information because it is quite a lot of sort of overload. But basically, that does not go up. So we bought our points for a particular set amount. So, and I know already those points values have already, since we bought in 2018, have increased by, I think it's at least $30 a point. I think the current price now is it 210?
I don't know.
I haven't even looked. I mean, this is how much research we've done of doing this video. We didn't even look at what the point value is now. But that's how much.
I think it goes up 2 or 3 times a year, doesn't it?
Yeah, and so for example, if you're looking, say for example, just so you know the kind of the cost that is involved here, let's say even if it's $200 a point, and it is more than that at the moment, you're talking 150 points, you're talking $30,000. Seems a lot of money, and it is a lot of money, don't get me wrong.
But the way we were looking at it when we started thinking about it, and the other question we get asked is how do you know how many points you need? I feel like Kennedy was the perfect fit for us. He kind of like asked us questions. We were generally going on holiday sort of every 2 to 3 years. You can roll your points over, you see, up to like 3 years.
We'll get to that in a minute as well, yeah.
And then how long we were staying for. So he worked out roughly how many points we would need, and we just kind of like went along with it. Still thinking that we couldn't afford to do this. We went and had a meeting with Jeff at Saratoga Springs, where they have the DVC centre, don't they? Like the Welcome Centre. And again, it just all kind of made sense. And I used to have a thing where I set a certain amount of money to save every single month. And I mean, we're talking a lot of money for DVC. We didn't have that kind of money up front. But I worked out that I could come home, get a loan out. I think I got a Sainsbury's loan, didn't I? And it was actually under the amount what I was saving every month. And it kind of made sense. And then COVID hit then not long later, and so we weren't going on holiday anyway, so I just paid off DVC and it's been done. So it's actually worked out really, really well for us, and now it's paid off.
So now if we were to book a trip, we've got an upcoming trip later on this year, and we've got 4 nights. We're staying at Bay Lake for 4 nighs. And it wasn't necessarily by choice, but it's been quite difficult to get reservations. Since COVID, it's been difficult. So basically, we've just tried to grab what we could get. And we wanted, because it's only 4 nights, we wanted to try and be in one place rather than have to move from one resort to another, that type of thing. So we kind of did snap up those. But basically, we've booked online, we've used our points, and no money has obviously left our bank accounts or anything like that. It is just our points. We have paid for DVC, so I think we've now got another 45 years on the contract. So it means every time we book, we don't pay anything. We
do pay. You have like maintenance fees. They're called dues at the start of every year in January, and that's all based on a percentage of how many points. So it works out with the exchange rate. It works out about £1,000 a year, doesn't it?
Yeah, last year I think it was about $1,200. So that kind of it pays for the upkeep basically of the resorts.
You are an owner.
You are an owner. You do own property.
Yeah. So, but again, in comparison to what you'd be paying, there is no way we could afford to stay in the resorts that we stay in.
No.
And that sort of like takes me actually to why we decided it was a good fit for us. They kind of like interview you, don't they?
Yeah.
When you start, just to make sure it is a good fit. And like Jeff was saying, for example, they've turned people away because it was like their first trip to Disney.
And when they were asked the question, well, how often are you going to come back? And it was a case of, oh, we don't know.
And they, at the end of the day, they have a really good, they get really good reviews. They don't want to sell to somebody that isn't going to be a good fit.
They also, as well, I mean, there's no hiding behind it either, is the fact that Disney are there to make money. It's a business. Any business is going to make money. So, of course, you want to have a customer that is going to be a customer that is right for the service that they're actually selling. They're not going to just sell to anyone.
You need a repeat customer, don't you? Somebody that's going to keep coming back, that's already kind of committed to that kind of holiday.
Yeah, and it's actually interesting because touching on what you said, when we did sign up in 2018, we were still doing family holidays, and as you said, we were doing it once sort of every couple of years. And for us, that would actually get us probably every other year 2 weeks staying on site.
Easily 2 weeks.
Easily 2 weeks. So that was how they worked out the points, because that's how we were holidaying. We were generally going out for, if you've watched our other vlogs from previous trips, generally we'd do either a 3-week trip, a 4-week trip sometimes, but road trips. So not always in Orlando.
So then a couple of weeks in Disney.
Yeah, so a couple of weeks in Disney. And we realised that actually we'd managed to do our whole time in Orlando on site. So that kind of thought, okay, every 2 years, and like you mentioned earlier, you can roll your points over. So if you don't use them 1 year, you can roll them, and then basically it means you can then use almost 2 years worth of points. You can actually also borrow from a year in front. So if you've got a really big holiday coming up, loads of family going, or you just want to stay there a long time or stay in a really nice place, you could actually use 3 years worth of points in one go. So it's got flexibility there. I hope this kind of does make sense and it's not kind of going over people's heads too much. Apologies if it does. It is quite a lot to try and sort of understand, but there's flexibility there. Now,
and it's not just Disneyworld as well. I just want to add.
Sorry. So I'm just going to carry on what I was going to say. Our circumstances have changed, obviously, because we are no longer at the moment. We are doing family trips.
But not like we used to.
Not like we used to.
The kids aren't here. And they've got their own partners and like to do their own trips as well.
But that then suits us because we've been thinking, like, later in the year, we're there a few nights.
We're going to visit a friend, but we're going to do a little stopover at Disney first.
So that works perfectly. So we can just use some of our points. Earlier on in the year, we did the same thing.
We did 10 nights, didn't we?
We did 10 nights there. Last October we were there. Last June. Mm-hmm. And they were all done purely on our points.
And January.
And January. So there you go. And that's a sign of what you can actually do. And if we, for example, the year after, we might want just a week out there. Mm-hmm. If we want a big family trip, we'll work it out and stay somewhere that we could do that for that time. It's flexible. And that's the great thing that we do like it. And we do love the way that you can book as well because it's easy. It is online.
Yeah, it is.
If you want to change things, you can do. It is flexible. And if you do want to change it, you can do it all online as well. Not got to speak to anyone. And it does actually work really, really well.
Yeah, it's been quite easy to use. The only thing is it does get busy though. So you have to kind of be on the... If you were like thinking, right, I'm going to go to Disney next month. Like I said, since COVID, it's been quite tricky to book. You do need to be on the ball. Prior
to that, there were certain resorts that you would generally see that would get snapped up really quickly. Boardwalk and Beach Club. Definitely, I was going to say, definitely around the festivals.
Yes.
We'd always notice it. Now, the festivals have become longer and there's a festival at Epcot pretty much all the time now. So trying to get somewhere at Boardwalk or Beach Club now is very, very tricky. Whereas other locations, for example, Kidani, always used to be quite a reliable one, and Old Key West,
which is why we seem to end up there.
Yeah, exactly. But also because Old Key West is a big resort.
Yeah, there's lots more to choose
and
from.
Saratoga Springs is often another one that's available.
Lots more there. The other thing I wanted to add as well, just in case you weren't aware, it's just the deluxe resorts. They are the DVC, which is why you haven't been on since we've been since we've been going on with this channel. You haven't seen us stay at any moderates. We had one night at All Star this
movies.
time. But that was because there was no availability at DVC, and I managed to get that room for £150 through hotels.com. No, actually, I did it direct through Disney. Actually,
you did,
it wasn't on hotels.com. So that's why, because when we use our points, we can only book the deluxe resorts.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people, we do get a lot of comments about say that it's just a dream to stay at the deluxe resorts, and they are very expensive. We totally get that. We would not stay there if we did not have DVC. And like Lisa said earlier on, we signed up, and then we obviously took out a loan to obviously pay that off, but we were already saving for holidays, and I'm sure a lot of people watching that do go to Disney probably do a similar thing. And it's really, really worked for us as well. So
I think the other thing as well for us, our life was starting to change when we signed up for DVC. Our kids were kind of like older. They were just starting to get to the point of leaving school. And our trips were changing. We weren't wanting the kiddie trips, if you know what I mean. The kids were starting to want a bit of freedom and leave, and sort of like we'd be there and they might get the bus. I remember like one afternoon we wanted a leisurely afternoon in the resort, and they went and got the bus into a rainy Magic Kingdom, didn't they? And so, or like that beach club trip I spoke about, they didn't always want to get up in the morning, so it just meant that we could wander off and have a coffee whilst they had a lay-in, and then got showered, and then they'd meet us. So that was the kind of trip that we were starting to go for. Rather than being off-site, they then relied on us for the car. It meant that we each of us, we all had a bit of freedom.
They could do their own thing.
And also with DVC, you get the smaller DVC pools, so you don't have to go in the big crowded pools. Like when we were staying at Boardwalk, we couldn't even get a seat outside. I did actually want to be out there because I wanted the bar, I wanted the atmosphere, and it was just packed. It was so busy, so we just went round to the quiet DVC pool. We've done that at Beach Club as well, haven't we? And it's just a bit quieter. When you haven't got little children anymore, your trips change, don't they? And suddenly when you want to be around all the hustle and bustle, sometimes you want a bit of quieter time because you've done that. You know, your life has been that for many, many years.
Yes.
You're at that next chapter where you just want a cocktail and just to lie back in the sun and enjoy peace and quiet. We still do enjoy the hustle and bustle sometimes, but it's nice having that choice.
It gives the choice. I think also another thing as well, you've touched on it there, the fact that it is all the deluxe resorts. And if you'd have seen on our recent videos, I think the last couple of weeks, it was our stay at All Star Movies. Now, we loved that resort. And you see from our previous trips, we do love exploring other resorts. Coronado is another one.
I'd love to stay
now, that puts on to kind of a bit of a downside for us. And it's the kind of thought that when there's something that you have already essentially paid for, because although yes we can say these places we have points, we have invested and paid a lot of money to be able to do that. So then when it comes to thinking I'd really love a night at Coronado, or I'd like to stay at All Star Movies or Pop Century, because those resorts are, I mean, we've not been over to Pop Century yet, have we? But it looks really nice.
I know.
And same with Art of Animation.
I really would like to go there, yeah.
But then you're kind of thinking, we've got to budget for that as well. It almost seems...
I know you can sell your points.
Yeah, but it's something, and I think I'd like to do that, but it's something we need to consider. It's the same with us going to Universal. Like our last trip, or in October, we decided not to go to Universal purely because we had our DVC points to be able to stay on site at Disney. But it was kind of, not say disappointing, but it was a shame that we couldn't go to Universal.
It's so expensive as well, isn't it?
So whereas that is kind of one side that we do have to kind of balance a little bit. So when you do feel that there's something, you feel you should be using it.
But we've been really happy. I was really nervous when we did it, and we haven't regretted it once, have we?
No, I think in regards to holidays, it's the best thing.
It's just changed everything about our trips.
It's the best thing that we've actually done. I mean, the other great thing with the actual DVC resorts as well, well, not resorts as such, but the rooms, is that
that's a good point.
You'll notice that all the rooms, even that the studios, will have a kitchenette in them. So,
that's the most basic.
Yeah. So basically, that will come with a fridge. So it's not like your hotel fridge size. It's actually more or less like a proper fridge size.
I think most of the Disney rooms come with those anyway. When you think about it, staying at All Stars, it had a fridge. Sarah Jane had a fridge in Caribbean.
But it's only a small. It's not an
actual... it was like a half-size fridge.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But you have a sink. You have a toaster. You have a few more bits. You've got a microwave.
You get like plates and cups and cutlery.
Yeah, I'm not saying you're going to stay there and cook.
Coffee machine.
Cook, but it is just, you do get kind of a few extra bits and pieces there. And generally that makes the room just that maybe a little bit kind of sort of larger. You
also get the choice, which is what we really liked with having kids, is you can have like the 1 beds and 2 beds, which you wouldn't do in the normal circumstances. So our first ever DVC stay in 2019, we had a week at Bay Lake Tower. And the reason that we really wanted that resort was because the 1 beds have 2 bathrooms, and apart from Kidani, they're the only ones with the 1 bedrooms having 2 toilets.
Yes.
Aren't they?
Yeah.
So we had our ensuite, and then there was like a family bathroom as well with bath and overhead shower.
Yeah, Kidani and Bay Lake Tower are the only 2 deluxe resorts, DVC rooms, in the 1 beds that have 2 bathrooms.
And you've got like a full-size kitchen, haven't you? Full-size dining table, and it's just so well equipped. Yeah. And that works really well.
And each of the resorts are a little bit different, aren't they? Because we love staying at Old Key West. Now, Old Key West is one of the, when I say cheaper, I mean in regards to point usage, it's one of the cheaper ones to stay. And when we stayed with friends in January, we had a 2-bed there.
That was amazing.
But the 2-bed points were probably about the same as what maybe you'd get a 1-bed at, say, for example, Grand Floridian. So if you're clever with your points, you can stay at some really lovely places, and we love Old Key West.
Because it was the first resort for DVC, it also has the larger rooms. They're
They
really
are massive.
spacious.
So if you go for a 1-bedroom upwards, it has this massive lounge area. Check out any of our room
the great
room
patio.
tours.
It's not just a balcony; it's a patio, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah. So check out our room reviews, room or resort reviews on our channel. Just have a look at that one there as well, because you get to know the resorts, and like when a lot of people say, "Oh, where would you stay?" I think sometimes it does come down to the actual room that you're staying in.
And also the type of trip you're going for as well. With us just going for 4 days later on in the year, staying at Bay Lake is going to be perfect because we're right next to Magic Kingdom, right next to the monorail.
Yeah, so we can obviously walk into Magic Kingdom, no trouble whatsoever. That's another reason why it was a real tick for that trip. It was kind of like, we're only there for a short time, we want to make the most of it, and we'll probably spend most of our, well, let's say, time in Magic Kingdom. We'll go to the other parks, but it will be, obviously we're there.
I think though this is what DVC's done for us. We would never have been able to stay in these places. We'd have never been able to have these more relaxed trips that we are because we're on site. Yep. It's just completely changed. We were always off-siters before, and it's just completely changed how we've done our trips.
We hope this has been useful. Any questions that you do have, please, just ask us. I know there's going to be lots of other information, but just we wanted to keep this kind of high level. It's changed our way of holidaying, and we are so pleased we've actually done it. We'd recommend it. It's not for everybody. That is the one thing I would say. It doesn't work for everyone. If you already have a set way of going on holiday and you have a place that you go,
if you don't like Disney, it's not for you.
or if you just want to have the odd night on site,
Yeah.
it's definitely not going to be something that you would want to invest in. But if it's something that you love staying on site and you go back every couple of years, every year, or even every few years, it is something maybe to have a look at. You may find over time it actually does save you money on your holidays.
And I was going to say, team that up with collecting miles, which I know is another video we've been asked about, so I think we're going to film one of those soon as well. We pay £500 each for our premium class Virgin Atlantic tickets, and then we've got our DVC points to use, which it just makes our trip so much more affordable.
Just as a closing comment on here, we were really fancying doing a trip to Disneyland Paris, weren't we?
Yes.
Should I just say this actually?
Point. We priced it up last week.
This is just to put into comparison. Yes, okay, we have invested and bought DVC. We have got annual passes. But we priced up, and it actually would be cheaper for us to get to Orlando than it would do to do a few nights in Disneyland Paris.
Yeah.
And that's being DVC and annual pass holders has enabled us to be able to do that.
The other thing I was going to say, actually, talking of cost, our trips as the four of us, even with using miles, for doing our trips, they were still costing with spending money between 12 and about 15,000 each time we were doing it. And we worked out that we've already had our money back from DVC, haven't we?
Yeah.
The amount of times that we've stayed now.
The stay, I mean, I think if we had 4 or 5 visits.
No, we've had more than that actually.
Have we?
4, I think 5 actually.
Okay, we've actually, if we were to stay in those resorts, it would have cost us more than what our membership has cost us.
Obviously, we would have probably stayed off site anyway, and maybe just done a few.
That's the other thing as well.
Yeah.
If you actually stay off site, it's going to cost you less money.
But we were wanting to stay on site. That's the difference.
Yeah. So if you are staying on site, just as an idea, we've had 5 visits, and again, any questions that I'm more than happy to answer anything. But we've already kind of broken even on that. So everything now is actually going to be a bonus.
Yeah, so I just wanted to sort of like mention that.
Yeah.
But, any questions, please ask. We are so happy with it, and we love the way that it's changed our trips.
Yeah, and we look forward to having many, many years going and trying different resorts as well. So. And
let us know which is your favourite resort to stay in. I'd love to hear.
What would be your favourite resort?
Riviera now.
Oh yes, love Riviera.
You're still Boardwalk. No, beach. No. Bay Lake, I think.
Bay Lake I love because of its convenience to Magic Kingdom, the monorail. Contemporary, you can get coffee from 6 o'clock in the morning.
At Joffrey's.
Old Key West I love.
Yeah, it was just
And Riviera.
It was just one. No, just one.
I can't decide.
You have to.
Bay Lake.
I thought you'd say that. And by the way, let me know if
Tuna sandwich at Old Key West.
Stop it. If you've been playing the game of matching up Ade and the ears,
Yeah.
I know some of you like playing that game. Anyway.
We need to move those.
No, I think it's funny. Let's say goodbye.
Yes. So thank you for watching. As I said at the start, please subscribe if you don't already. We are going to try and get to that magical 5,000 subscribers. We're about 700 away at the moment. Our 2-year anniversary of this channel is coming up in July.
Yeah, this summer.
So it would be great to be able to get that. So please, if you're watching this, please share our videos. We'd love to try and get to that. We appreciate every single one that watches, every comment.
I love the little
every like
community,
and everything.
actually.
It's really lovely. So
Yeah.
and we love the fact of the comments and how things have helped. And that's really what we're here for as well. Is just to try and pass on the information that we've kind of like learned. Ourselves and from others, but also it's nice because we're learning things as well from you, so
time.
thank you.
And let us know if you do want that video about collecting Virgin Miles points as well.
Yeah.
We'll see you in the next video.
Thank
What's
you.
our next video coming up? Can you remember? Let me go and check. I've just checked. It's a good one, isn't it?
Yes, we are at Saratoga Springs.
Our first time, and we find something. We go and do something that I think we first wanted to do in 2014, and we never got around to doing it.
And it almost didn't happen this time as well.
Yeah, we had a few problems checking in, didn't we?
Yeah.
But yeah, and we go to Magic Kingdom, but we find, I think, possibly the best evening entertainment. It's hidden away, not many people know about it, in one of the resorts.
Yep.
It was amazing. So we'll just leave it at
Yes.
that.
So don't forget to watch.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.